Hey, what's up everyone? It's David here. Today's video I've got the Class 43 again from the GWR high-speed train set, and I've decided to make another video on this loco because there were some things that I didn't quite touch on that I couldn't do in the time I had to show the unboxing of the train set, and I felt that it needed its own actual video just to talk about the power cars themselves. Now, as I've said in the previous video, these did not start off life as Hornby models. These were originally Lima models. And what happened was Hornby bought Lima's assets in 2004 after they went under. And they adopted a lot of the toolings from Lima and brought them over to their own Hornby brand. Now, these never actually went into the normal Hornby range because at the time that these were actually going through the transitionary period to bring them over, because they did do modifications to the models as well, so it did take a year or two before they finally actually did come out onto the market after Hornby did purchase all of the tooling. Obviously it takes time and legal stuff and all sorts of things, but anyway, Hornby was releasing their new HST, the All Singing All Dancing Class 43, that we see for £300 now. But what these did was they gave Hornby a much better tooled HST than what they were currently offering in their normal range. But obviously, because of the time period that they were working with and that they were already started working on a successor to their existing HST Class 43, they decided to introduce these not in the normal range of Hornby, but in the actual railroad range. And they were introduced in the Virgin livery, but they were never released again after that. So they basically were sitting dormant in Hornby's tooling storage facility or archive or whatever you want to call it for the best part of 12 years before Hornby actually decided, you know what, why don't we use those again, release them in a train set and another train pack in the railroad range. So they did, and this is what you see before you. So as I said, they were Lima, they're now Hornby, and you know, the bodies and chassis are all interchangeable. The motors are different because Hornby did spend some money upgrading the motor from the old ring-filled motor into the standard motor that you can get a hold of. Basically, it fits really more or less any Scalextric car or any 040 train. So, yeah, let's get on to the actual model itself now. We've had a brief history lesson. So, the model features very few stuck-on parts, and I say very few. Actually, I think there's really only one, really, that can stand out, and that's the roof for the exhaust manifold. Other than that, and obviously the perspex glass, everything else is more or less fixed into the tool. So it's been painted in the GWR livery, and it's been applied basically as a more conservative application. It hasn't got the warning stickers, you know, that you would get a hold of in a magnifying glass and then look, oh, it says here danger, high voltage, and all sorts of things. It's just basically got the main livery, the running number, and that's it really. There's nothing applied on the front apart from the paint job, and on the side again the running number. And the edged plastic they've outlined in the white, and that looks like it from a distance. You could think that that was a separate plastic added on piece, like the handrails for the cat, the driver. But these are again edge plastic, and they're just painted. And see the door handles as well, again edge plastic. Now, it's nice that they've actually gone through the trouble of actually highlighting all of these particular little features, but unlike the all singing all dancing class 43, this doesn't have interarticulate parts that are just added on and glued on, fitted. These are just all molded plastic. One of the nice things about the old Lima model is that these actual tanks here are actually separate from the bogie. On Hornby's offering, they were actually molded with the actual bogie, which I never quite liked, but hey ho, we're all to our own. Again, the rear door, it's got the door handle on it, but nothing's, like I said, interarticulate pieces. It's all edged plastic. Again, that's another bit of perspex. So the perspex things are the only things really that are mainly more or less stuck on here, other than the roof. And the cab itself, like I said, the window wiper on there, the windshield, that is again part of the perspex, and they would just simply paint it with a very thin brush quickly and carefully just to outline the actual window wiper. But inside the actual cab, it's very hard to see because of the shine. That's just, there's two chairs, but there's no actual detail in, like I said, the main one. It doesn't have everything all highlighted. It's just, well, more or less you won't see it anyway. And obviously the top singing all dancing, the door opens, and on this one it doesn't. But again, that's a feature that I could do without really in the top quality one, because it's very rarely you would use it. I mean, if you wanted to stick a guy hanging out in, say it was sitting in the yard or whatever, but when the train's actually running, he wouldn't be sticking his head out. So that's more or less, I think that's a redundant feature. The actual grille here, again, edge plastic. On the top quality one, this is transparent. And as I said, it did start off as a Lima model, but Hornby did rebrand it. Underneath here, this stamp was changed, so it now says Hornby made in China. And obviously it's got the normal legal things that they have to put on there, like the CE and the basically don't throw it in the trash kind of thing, and the 12 volts. But I remember models being 15 volts, so I don't know about that one. Maybe it was 12 to 15 volts. But anyway, it's to take the body from the chassis apart, it's actually screwed in, which is actually quite nice, because I could never stand actually clip fastens. I'm sure it probably is. It has some kind of clips on it somewhere along the line. I haven't taken this one apart yet, but yeah. Oh, here was another problem. Whenever you'd lift it up, kids would just break it because they wouldn't know, and they just push it. They'd have to push it all the way against it and then lift it and that sort of thing, because the actual couplings would get yourself lodged. So what I've just done there, just carefully. So yeah, it's a tip right there. But anyway, let's just get on to the actual power car. The power car, so I've said the dummy car, I don't know if I said it or not, doesn't have any directional lights. The power car does. And when I say directional, it only goes one direction, and that's white. So no reverse, no red. Now, I said the motor is different from what Lima used to offer it in. They replaced the ring-filled motor with the modern equivalent that, as I said, you would find in the scale electric car and basically any 040. So it's only 3-pole. You could upgrade it to 5-pole if you wanted to. All depends on your preference. What's good about this model is that it gives you the option to upgrade. So without further ado, as I said, though, the plastic edging on the top is outlined, but there's no actual in particular parts that are painted on or anything like that. On the top quality one, these are painted. So let's put it on the track and give it a quick test run. Now, here's something I like to mention. When you've got a new model, just simply hold it up like this, run the power, run it forward, try and get the juices running a little. Don't know if you can see that. It's got the front light going on. What's really nice is it's got pickups on all four. So I'm just going to put it over here. Hopefully I've got it in the right gear and it will go forward. It's a little bit juddery, but like I said, it's only a 3-pole. But what this model offers me is I've got the top quality models, and when I want to run them on the train set, I don't really want to basically exhaust a £300 loco. So what this does, it gives me a stand-in for a cheap runner. But I am going to do in another video showing you how to modify and enhance this model with directional lighting for the front. I'm also going to put a DC socket in the rear for the dummy car, as well as directional lighting and DC sound. So I'm going to turn this basic train set loco that you get into something quite spectacular, if I do say so myself. But here's another, just a quick trivia here. This area here was originally assigned to the guard, but what happened was very early on in the HST's life cycle of it entering service, the guard, being next to a great big diesel motor, tend to suffer from the vibrations and noise that was associated, obviously being that close to the Paxton engine. So what they did in the end, they end up moving the guard in his actual area that was built for him by the designers into a Mark III coach, and he's been there ever since. And then what this area then was used for was cargo and bikes. So you might have not known that, you might have known that, I don't know. But yeah, sometimes the designer's idea of a good thing doesn't always work out in practicality. But here's another fun fact. These were originally a stopgap to run on British railways. The APT was basically the train that was going to replace them, and most of the lines were supposed to be electrified. The East Coast, though, only was recently electrified. So HST originally had a life cycle of 15 to 20 years. They estimated it running in its, obviously in its heyday, and then it would be move on to much lesser, unelectrified lines up in the rest of the country. Well, that didn't end up happening, and as I said, 40 years on, they've only just started moving out and moving on to the lines up north. But being, I've commuted on trains, I find that the new Class 800 that replaces them on GWR, well, let's just say the comfort is not as great as the HST. So they knew what they were doing back in the old BR days when they were engineering these trains. The new Hitachi ones, any single points and thingies, it becomes a bit, what's the word? Spine shattering. So I'd actually really like to see them come back. And one of the reasons why they have gone is because of emissions. They want to obviously go to electric. And the Class 800 does both electric and diesel. But there's a lot of room inside these old Class 43 units. So surely they could be turned into a hybrid of some sort. or even hydrogen powered. I'm just, as I said, I'm just speculating, yeah. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like this video, please like the video. That would help me out a lot. But if you could subscribe, that would help me out even more. So, like I said, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.